I'm here today to talk to Minister Judith Seaman. And Judith is the chair of the Education and Exponents Committee. There's some exciting developments ahead. It's coming out of the work that they've been doing behind the scenes. And very soon you're going to be hearing about it and going to be able to participate in a new direction that they're going in. So I'd like to ask you, Judith, what can people expect in the very near future coming out of Education and Exponents?
Well, a lot of work is being done at the accreditation level, because this is where people enter into our training schemes. And we made a big start with that with the Healing Accreditation Scheme last year. And that started like a snowball, really. We recognised because the number of people coming through for upgrade to accredited healers has snowballed. So people like the new scheme, the new ideas. So we then took it upon us to look at the next section, which was the platform accreditation scheme, which is a bigger package because it involves both speaking and demonstrating. So a brand new course has been written called The Teachings and Practice of Spiritualism 1. We've given it a nickname. We call it Tipsy. TPS1, Tipsy. Because when we look at such as SD1, what does that mean to anybody out there in the real world? Nothing. So we're trying to introduce now a suite of learning rather than just a course. So this is a package similar to that of the PAS, the Healing Accreditation Scheme, where there is the new course, which teaches about the understanding, the history of spiritualism, and the practice of speaking and demonstrating, particularly at a church level. So the course provides the understanding and knowledge, but interwoven with that is training, practical training, being applied so that people can learn and then learn how to put into practice what they've learned. And in particular, because most of those doing the training maybe struggle more with the speaking aspect, we've introduced a lot of extra training aids to support that. So people will be able to have both visual and written prompts to look at how they can generate an address. And these will be provided freely within the training scheme. We will also have training for speakers only, for those who want to take that path without doing demonstrating. So hopefully offering the potential for people to follow what they believe is their direction that they would like to take. And from the beginning, the learning criteria will be spelled out in the academic course, carried through the training, and the questions at the final assessment board will be based on that same learning criteria. So there's no trick questions anymore. If they've done the work, they will be enabled to get their accreditation.
This is great, and the idea that it's a package, I think, is just really exciting. It feels as if it's drawing together all the strands that have needed to be drawn together for quite some time. Yeah. And it means that it's just going to be such a more positive and richer experience for the students who want to take part in this.
Yeah, absolutely. We feel exactly that. We've also dealt with an issue where people say some of the courses are repetitive. We've done that in this course and now we've got to do it again. All of the 3 accreditation levels, that's for healing, for speaking, demonstrating, and for church administration, will all have within them the same 2 sections 1 and 2, which is about the history and knowledge of spiritualism. So if they've done it in one course, they will be exempt from doing it in another. So we're taking out that repetition that students have complained, moaned about as well. So they will get exemption if they've received a pass grade in another course. So trying to make sure that each course is focused on that aspect and not have so much repetition within it.
This is great because it doesn't just bring the strands together, like I just said, but it's also connected to other levels as well, so it avoids that repetition.
Yeah.
I know that there's a huge amount of work taken place to get this, the wheels in motion for this to happen. That must mean a lot of changes as well from the other side as well, in terms of the assessment and the training side, to get people ready for this and to get people through their assessments as well. Could you tell us a little bit about what changes have happened there?
Yes, well, the member of our committee who deals with academic tutor appointments, so the tutors who work with the actual written word, have been chosen especially for work with this new course. The section of the practical training, the coordinator that deals with that, has chosen what she believes are the right trainers to deal with the new course, to put the practical application into place. And so that this will work, and those two members of our committee are working together also. One of the things that has enabled all of this to take place is the bringing together of the Education Committee, the Training and Awards Committee, and the Healing Committee.
Yeah.
Because bringing all those threads together, which you've mentioned, has enabled all those aspects to be looked at together, which has never been done in the past. They've always been separate committees, not really communicating with each other. But now we've got members from all of those aspects, healing, speaking, demonstrating, administration, working together as one team to try to build a suite of courses that interact with each other. Because if we look at those who want to be administrators, they also need to know about the history of spiritualism and how it operates. So we've got that common thread running throughout at that accreditation level, where people start their journey to learn about spiritualism, both its history, but also its future, its potential for the future. And really, we've said for such a long time that the message, the real message of spiritualism is the address. Yeah. Because if we look at a church service, only a handful of people will receive a personal communication. So without a message for everyone, then what do the others take away? So that address, now looking at it in a more modern approach, modern readings that could be used to inspire for the address. We're currently collecting readings with the intention of preparing a book of modern readings that could be used to try to support this whole package.
This is great, and I think we can very much regard it as a step change, that it's really moving things forward, not just for the individual and for the union, but for the experience of people in our congregations as well, who will be, listening and experiencing the work of our exponents as well. So this is really great. But because of the step change and this move forward, perhaps some people might be thinking about, well, how does that affect me if I've recently done my PAS or recently done my SD1? So can you talk a little bit about how that will relate to people who've recently been involved in that?
Yes, well, anyone who's completed their PAS, that doesn't affect them at all. If they wanted to get involved in the new PAS training scheme, I'm sure we could arrange for them to do that if they wanted a refresher, but that's not something that we've actually talked about. That's just come out of my head now. But yeah, we would make that available. But anyone who has been working with SD1 during the last 12 months and having completed at a PAS level can move forward into the new training scheme, the new PAS training scheme. So if they've completed SD1 in the last 12 months, we would issue them with a free copy of TPS1 to read through so that they have the knowledge to move forward into the new training scheme. If we go back further beyond 12 months, we would require them we would issue them with a free copy of TPS1, but we would require them to do the actual questions of it to refresh the learning, because we've had introduced quite a lot of more modern approach to the aspect of delivering spiritualism in the churches. So they would get a free copy, but they would need to refresh by going through the answers and then into the practical training. No one is being made to move from the old scheme to the new scheme. If they want to finish the old scheme, that's available to them. If they would like to transfer to the new scheme, that is available also. So again, we would issue them with a copy of TPS1 free of charge so that they could read it to move through into the new scheme. We've tried to cover all aspects, but like I just said, I suddenly thought of another one then. If someone had finished the old scheme and would like to refresh with the new one, then I think we could offer that also.
That's great. Lots of things have been thought about and just those barriers removed, because it really is about supporting people to move forward. That's what it's all about, and that intent is there. So I think that just feels so exciting.
We're very excited about it, and I suppose we have to give thanks to the lockdown for enabling us with the time to get on with it and do it. So in some small way, because otherwise we'd have all been doing our other work, but this way we've had time to really focus on this. And also we've started focusing on the assessors scheme, because we have lots of people who assess both ongoing assessment, such as on the teacher training scheme, and those who work on final assessment boards, which is making a final decision as to whether someone gets an accreditation or an award. And it's not always understood the difference between that type of assessing. So we've recently had practical training for our assessors to be looking at the methodology for assessing in those different fields which we now cover. And also, of course, online, because we've been running and still are running an SNUI teacher training scheme, and the assessing of that. And even working on Zoom, on the online, is different with demonstrating. And we've been offering advice and help to people on how to work with that. And for me personally, I prefer it. I love the way we work online, just focusing on the spirit world, letting them give us the information, pass that information on, and find the recipient that knows that person that's speaking to them. And it just works. It's an amazing feeling. So there's been so much that's been happening during this past, I don't know, is it 3 months now, probably, that it does feel exciting, Al, yes.
I mean, we've had a lockdown, but in many ways, many things have been unlocked in a different way. And so if we think about the future now, I know there are more plans to keep this going, this spirit of progression, moving on. Before we end, could you tell us a little bit about what might be to come?
Well, certainly we intend to carry on doing more work on the Zoom facility, both doing final assessment boards on the Zoom facility, particularly for people who live in Australia or the United States of America. They have been able to come and do their qualifications through the Zoom facility without paying out a lot of money to travel to the UK for flights. So that's been excellent, and we've been doing that. We've continued. Last week we did 4 assessment boards in 5 days on the Zoom facility. And those who are working on them in the main really like this idea of working in this way. So it's been helping us to get through the boards that had been cancelled because of the lockdown, but keep them going wherever possible. The only difficulty has been the healing assessment boards, because obviously contact healing has not been possible. But we're now moving across to looking at the church administration scheme to give that new life and turn that into a suite, just like the other 2 accreditation level courses. And as soon as the new church rules are finalised, we will be progressing that to the new church administration and management scheme. So that's going to be called CAMA. So we've got all these nicknames that we've given to them, which sound quite fun. And that's the idea, to make learning not just fun, that's not really perhaps the word, but enjoyable and exciting and potential for being able to achieve. That's the work of our committee, is to enable students to achieve what they would like to achieve. That's our motto, if you like. That's what we work towards trying to do. And that has meant changing a lot of things, which I know change, people don't always comfortable with it, but this pandemic that we've had has changed our world. And sometimes we have to adapt to change in order for things to go forward and to grow. And that's what we hope, that people will come on board and go with us into a new and exciting future.
I think these changes are really encouraging. They just encourage us to think about our learning and our training in a different way, that it's more integrated, it makes more sense, and it all fits together so that when we complete one aspect of it, it makes it so much more easier to move on to the next. And,
yes.
And that's just really supporting all our progression. Judy, thanks for taking the time out. I know EECOM is very, very busy at the moment, not least for getting all these things together. But I just wanted people to know what's happening and to share this. So everybody who's watching this, look out for these things. They're coming soon. When's the launch date, Judy?
1st of July this year.
So not too long.
No.
So please look out for that on our website, snu.org.uk, and on our social media platforms. We'll be talking about it, letting you know how to sign up and find out more about it. But keep looking out for it. Exciting things ahead. Thank you, Judith.
Thank you, Alf. It's been great fun.